How does a building change modern life? How we move, how we breathe, how we live. On a hill above Brno in the Czech Republic sits Villa Tugendhat, a house that doesn't just reflect the ideals of early modernism, it helped invent them. Designed by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe and Lilly Reich in 1930, it was a house unlike anything that came before. No ornamentation, no clutter, no hierarchy, just light, air, and space. This is early modernism before it had a manifesto, stripped back, precise, and impossibly elegant. This month on An Architect's Perspective, we walk this radical space with Eva Drickner, the visionary architect and designer. Together we ask, what did it mean in a time of upheaval to build a house like this? What kind of future was it trying to imagine? And what does it still have to teach us nearly a century later? We'll also discuss Mies's famous obsession with detail. But first, I briefly spoke with Evita Cherner, the director of Villa Tugendhat. She started us off with a brief introduction to the building. Evita.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Eva, we're going to have a wander around the house in a moment, but Evita, tell us a little bit where we are here today.
Welcome in Villa Tugendhat, which was designed by famous world architect, we can say, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, with collaborators, which was designed for newlyweds couple, Greta and Fritz Tugendhat, and it was finished in 1930. It means that this year, this house will celebrate 95 years.
That's fascinating. Evita, thank you so much for the introduction. Eva and I are now going to have a wander around and discuss a little bit more.
So enjoy the tour.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Eva, we'll start our tour walking through past the front door towards the balcony and the garden beyond.
Look at the view.
That's fantastic, isn't it? You get the sense that the land is dropping.
You just carry on. You just have a feeling that you can go on and meet on the next hill, further down on the horizon. It is really incredible change, so we are outside the house, which is so modest, so simple, doesn't actually indicate any of the beauty which you can see, once you get through. So, and he just gives you a little taste of opening this view, looking at Brno, looking at the hills, looking at the horizon, and this kind of continuity, of your view and also the life which happens inside. Yeah. It is quite an extraordinary architectural statement,
And this was a time roughly when Mies was the last director of the Bauhaus School before he had to move to America. And I suppose the family were looking at that school, maybe not just for the architecture, but maybe for the art that was taking place there and all that was going on.
That's right, and I think that he uses more the Gropius door handles. But of course, this collaboration is visible on every single detail. I mean, this precision, this remarkable discipline which he took through. And that is what I think, and this discipline is Mies's main contribution to the history of architecture and the way how you design the buildings.
So if we think of maybe the separation, what makes Mies, and, to use his expression, God's in the detail, would you say it's his discipline, it's his straitjacket of resolving the detail in a way that no other architects at the time were doing?
I think that he actually made his legacy in that sentence, God is in details, because he took every single problem down to the last detail.
And this idea of the straitjacket is an interesting idea. Do you say it's a detriment to him to have this straitjacket? Because if you look at, say, Richard Rogers, the Wimbledon house of which we've filmed, he doesn't have that straitjacket. He likes to move off grid. But here, this is Mies with his straitjacket on, to a certain extent.
This is who you talk to, So I knew Richard. I can remember well how Richard was creating. Richard had the necessity to break the straitjacket. He wanted to break the freedom. When I am doing whatever I am doing, I am in the straitjacket. If I move away from symmetry, if I move away from some strict rules about proportions and so on, I really have to talk to myself, and I have to find the courage to do so, because, I have got
so you're
in my brain.
You have more of the Miesian straitjacket that we see here. So we're in the private courtyard here, the family courtyard. And this beautiful detail of the travertine all the way around, which I assume that's the same one that's used in the Barcelona pavilion.
It is.
And here we can see Mies's straitjacket
Yes.
with the grid
Yeah.
lining up with the columns.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it must have given him so much time and effort, just to get the size of those tiles lining up with the center of the columns.
So we're walking up to the front door, which is concealed from the road, covered.
Not very obvious.
No, and beautiful curved glass.
Secret, but beautiful. I mean, how he could achieve this curved glass at the time. You turn around this beautiful handrail.
This stone is staggering how
It's just look at the transition between the plaster.
This is very much his father's influence, I'm sure. So if you're walking into the main living area.
What a surprise, We are facing one of the famous sites in Brno, which is called Spielberg, the hill on the opposite side on a horizon. And the trees which carry on with the green garden. I mean, winter garden was something which I don't really know when any other architect of that time produced a winter garden of this size, functioning as this evergreen layer between the outside.
But here we see the space divided by those iconic columns. Mm-hmm. For me, this is what makes this house so incredible, the different planes and the different surfaces defining the different activities. And the famous onyx stone wall. And I think it was a bit of an accident to realise that in the winter when the sun is low, that the light actually shines through this and you get a sort of a red tone.
Yeah. How this curve gently turns you to the dining room.
And it's a soft transition down with a circular staircase.
That's right.
And then this is almost repeating.
Master of the curve, but it is not a curve, it is a perfect circle. As indeed, the perfect circle is everywhere. Perfect circle on the table. And then, of course, this connection with the exterior, so... Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll have a look downstairs a bit later, but obviously this glass panel is designed to recess into that wall, giving you the connection to the outside.
But he also shades, the windows.
Yeah, we're almost at that stage where we could drop the shades and justify that.
We still are looking into greenery, but we are in the most intimate place on this floor. And how simple it is.
You certainly feel like the garden's being brought into the house. Here we are in the kitchen. Still got a beautiful view.
Very modern kitchen, all white. And the kitchen was not really the back of the house, where the slaves would have been preparing the food. It is a nice, pleasant place for people who are working here.
Yeah. Interesting, you didn't line the tiles of the floor with the...
Yes, they don't line up.
No, but still.
Oh, Mies, what have you done?
So we're walking into Greta's room here.
Greta's room. Do you know what I specifically noticed? It has full-height door with a very simple architrave, door fitted in. So he specifically and specially made the door go between the ceiling and the floor.
Mies said that if the client did not want to go to floor-to-ceiling door leaves, he would walk away from the job. He was so insistent.
So would I. It is absolutely remarkable because they really led very simple life. They own rooms and the kids' bedrooms are as simple as possible. There is no luxury.
Do you think that was coming from Mies and the theories around anti-decoration and such like that we spoke about with regards to the Bauhaus, or is this coming from the family's desire?
I would have thought it was the feeling of the time, because there was the physical education. The people started swimming, they started treating their body, which was a reaction on this previous period, when people lived behind the curtain, they protected themselves from sunshine, and when they went swimming, so they were dressed up from the ankles up to the chin, and suddenly, you just really celebrate the body, celebrate the physical culture, and just live a simple life.
Society was changing, and this is an architecture that reflects...
architecture responding to the changes.
Whereas maybe in Britain we had the Edwardian period going on and such like, but yet here in Europe this was the avant-garde and still is arguably the avant-garde. It's a beautiful space. Lovely quality of light.
Lighting.
The tiles, how close
I'm fascinated, by the way, how lay the tiles with no gaps, it's a continuous surface.
So Eva, let's lead down to the basement now, which is the engine room of this house. Very excited to see what's there.
Indeed. Lots of goodies in the basement.
So Eva, we're entering the mechanical room for the house. Unbelievable to see this level of technology. Gosh. For the 1920s, 20s.
That is definitely a boy's toy.
And help us just understand, so this is something to do with air from outside?
That is the fresh air, on this side. Yeah. That is the air which is in the circulation being used by the house, and that is the cooling system. Yeah. And all these arrows, and all those levers kind of control how you mix it, how you cool it, heat it, and what is the proportion between those two. What a simplicity. Can you imagine the present air conditioning system?
And then if we go through into these rooms, we'll see the actual chutes where the air is taken through.
Oh, look at this. Look at that.
Yeah.
95 years old.
It's remarkable. So we've come from the storage area, Eva, and this is a space I wanted to analyse with you in more detail. The garden faces that way, and as you can see, this is the mechanism for opening and closing that window on the facade.
Phenomenal simplicity.
Yeah.
Yes, you have got this little machine, which any workshop probably would have met. And then you use it with those simple chain and converters, just to drop this 1 centimeter thick, a huge piece of glass descending, to the basement and disappearing from view.
Yeah.
Extraordinary kind of attention to detail.
So we walk into this rather special room here.
That is very special.
And this room was designed specifically, was it not, to keep these fur coats
That's
in
right.
good shape?
To keep the moss away.
To a certain extent, it's interesting to contrast how dated the coats look versus how modern the architecture looks, even today.
Exactly.
So Eva, we're passing through the storage space below the kitchen. There's a brief exhibit here on the right-hand side to Lilly Reich. We're going to talk a lot about her influence on Mies, but in the meantime, let's just have a look at this model.
Look at this.
Fantastic model.
What can an architectural model say about a building? Absolutely everything what the architect wanted to say. As far as architectural history is concerned, Mies is one of those shining stars of that period between the two world wars. Every single architect who got on that high pedestal contributed in his own specific way. And I think that Mies, to me, is this kind of person who represents the discipline, the feeling for the materials. He had the feeling, this essential kind of experience, what happens when you touch the material, when you look at them, the effect of creating the spaces he just created, spaces which flow one into another. Mm-hmm. He was lucky enough that he found the clients with him who actually created unforgettable architecture of the everlasting effect.
I think that's an incredible moment to say thank you very much for
what a wonderful day we have had.
We've had a very special day walking around with you.
I enjoyed it more than I can say.
When Mies said, "I don't want to be interesting, I want to be good," he wasn't talking about style, he was talking about intention. Villa Tugendhat is good in the deepest, most radical sense because it dares to imagine a better life. The house wasn't built to impress, it was built to liberate from the heaviness of history and the suffocating interiors of empire. It stripped away excess, not to be empty, but to make room for light, for air, and for movement. A healthier relationship with the body, a closer relationship with nature. That's what Mies and Lilly gave us, a glimpse of a more honest future. And that future is still unfolding. With Villa Tugendhat as our guide, we've seen how precision can become poetry, and how, even a century on, this building still conveys a radical idea that beauty isn't always something added, but sometimes what's left behind. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on An Architect's Perspective. Before we end, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Mies himself. "Architecture is the will of an epoch, translated into space." Next time on An Architect's Perspective, I sit down with the architect and designer Villa Tugendhat inside Villa Tugendhat, one of modernism's most iconic houses. We explore the villa's design, its history, the role of Lilly Reich, and why this house remains one of the most influential works of modern architecture.